AAF trounced the NBA. Absolutely destroyed the NBA head-to-head. And I love how all the checkmark brigade that always cheerleads because the politics in the NBA is more excited about the NBA than they are the football universe. This is a beatdown of epic degrees, all right? For a brand new league that gets almost no promotion whatsoever, to show up in week 1 on CBS versus ABC, the NBA is the most overhyped, overpromoted, overanalyzed, overdiscussed league in the history of sports, all right? That is because ESPN and Turner drastically overpaid for the NBA rights. They gave so much more money that the NBA is a disaster from a ratings perspective. No one will talk about it because the SJW crowd loves everything about the NBA. But the NBA ratings are awful. The audience is not substantial. They are trending towards what would be a disaster of an NBA Finals. The Golden State Warriors going up against the Toronto Raptors. I hope it happens just because everybody would lose their minds over the fact that the NBA doesn't really have a very substantial audience, and much of it is artificially manufactured on social media. The numbers don't reflect in any way that the NBA is remotely close to football in terms of interest. All right? So they went head-to-head. The NBA's got a great matchup. They got James Harden going up against Russell Westbrook. And this is a big game. Both these guys are on fire. They've been promoting it all week. They even promoted it all day Saturday during the ESPN game. You ever notice how much more promotion the NBA gets during non-NBA games than any other sport? ESPN promotes the NBA like crazy. I can't believe how much. I was watching Duke play against UVA, and almost every single ad that aired during the Duke-UVA game was for the NBA. And by the way, Duke-UVA was the highest rated sporting event of the weekend. More people watched college basketball than anything else, which is pretty wild to think about. Duke-UVA airing at, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Pacific. On Saturday was the most watched sporting event of the weekend, which is pretty wild. I thought Duke-UVA was a really entertaining game. By the way, Zion Williamson, maybe the biggest freak of nature athletically to ever play college basketball. The block he had, I put it on my Twitter feed if you didn't see it, where he went from underneath the basket to blocking a three-point shot, was flat out phenomenal to see. I think one of the most intriguing aspects of the NBA season, honestly, is who is going to tank enough to be able to get Zion Williamson. Is it going to be Phoenix? Is it going to be the Knicks? Is it going to be the Cavs? Who is going to win the NBA All-Star, the NBA lottery, and be able to draft what looks like a future NBA All-Star, and certainly a guy that gets a lot of attention? But the Bulls also in the mix. Lots of bad teams in the mix. All right? So what is intriguing to me about this is I don't know the answer on whether there is a big demand for minor league football. But what I would say about that league is this. One, this is a major deal that their first ever game rated as highly as it did. And certainly people out there can say, well, the XFL rated highly 15 or 18 years ago. Certainly you can say that. But that was so long ago that I don't think you can really use its ratings as any kind of prescriptive idea of what the future might be for the AAF. Here's what I would say. I think this is good for college football. I think it's good for the NFL. Let me explain why. I think that if college kids can go pro, it will clean up a lot of the ugliness associated with college football. Guys not doing their work, cheating on academics, guys getting paid that you maybe get upset about while they're in college. I think if a 19 or 20-year-old, instead of having to wait 3 years, can go pro and can sign all of the endorsement deals that he wants to sign, college football will be remaining for people who want to go to college, get a degree, and play football simultaneously. Whereas if the XFL, which is going to recruit younger guys, and also you have out there the AAF, which is also going to recruit some younger guys, this will be a substantial impact in the overall landscape of the way that football is viewed. I also think it cleans up all that you need to have to play college athletes. I think it disappears overnight. Because if you want to make money and play minor league football, you can. And I think it also becomes a really interesting storyline. What if the XFL went to Trevor Lawrence and they said, hey, Trevor, instead of playing a third year with Clemson before you go #1 overall, we want you to come play for Bob Stoops in the XFL, and we will develop you with Bob Stoops just like he would have if you were in college, and you could break out what the overall impact will be for your career because you can sign multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, boom, as a sophomore, and then you can focus full-time on training to be in the NFL. I think it would be wild. Some people are going to say, well, the salaries aren't very high. You can get exemptions. Most of the money, especially early, is in getting guys signed for Nike or Under Armour or wherever it is. Trevor Lawrence at the age of 19 would be able to sign a huge apparel contract. Why would he not sign that huge apparel contract, walk out on playing college football, bank millions of dollars guaranteed, play in the XFL for a year, and then go into the NFL draft? That's the pitch I would be making to him. Why play college football for free and enrich your university if you believe you are ready to be a pro and you want to focus full-time on becoming a professional? People say, well, he can get hurt. He can get hurt in college too. Take out a big insurance check. Go ahead and bank millions of dollars. I don't think it's a bad setup. I also think that a lot of people are rooting for this minor league football league to work because I think there are a lot of guys out there that make a lot less than $75,000. While it's entertaining to think about, what the overall impact might be of a guy making millions of dollars a year, most people out there would rather make $75,000 a year doing what they do than they would playing sports than they would making a lot less than that. I don't know how many of you guys out there watching me right now make less than $75,000 a year, but I bet a lot of you is the answer. And I bet a lot of you would play pro football for $75,000 a year to work for a few months a year and find something else to do for the remainder of the year, especially if that allowed you to keep your dream alive of one day being a pro sport athlete in the NFL. So I think this is a potential really good setup for the football fans in general and also for sports fans in general. I'd like to see the AAF, and I would also like to see the XFL do well because I think it would be a lot of fun to talk about, particularly if we got some good quarterbacks in the league to be able to play.